Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So nice, such a full space. I feel like we really on-ramped to Shabbat. When my daughter was born, we wanted to do her Brit Bat, the official covenant and moment of welcoming her into our covenant on the 8th day of her life. We were blessed that we were able to do this, and it felt really important to us. Even though the halakha, the Jewish law, only speaks of needing to do a Brit Milah for a baby boy on the 8th day. There's nothing about having a baby girl when you would have a naming ceremony, but there was something about that 8th day that felt important. And it comes from our Parsha this week, where we learn in Tazria about the Brit Milah, that it says, Ubayom Hashmini, that on the 8th day, Yim'ol Basar Orlato, that on the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin is going to be circumcised. But why the 8th day? What is it about this 8th day and the fact that we welcome our children into the covenant on this day? When Azamra was born, we had the opportunity to meet with my teacher, Rabbi Eben Leder, and I remember him saying something that felt so profound, which was, in order to join the covenant, you have to experience Shabbat. You have to have experienced a Shabbat before you can go into this covenant of what it is to be in this community, what it is to be surrounded and to have really a connection with the divine. There's no 8th day without having lived a Shabbat. And it actually comes from Vayikra Rabbah, from the Midrash this week, where it uses an analogy for this very teaching. And it says that Rabbi Levi taught us that it's like a king who entered a province and issued an edict, and all the guests are here shall not have an audience with me until they have an audience with the queen first. So you can't see the king unless you see the queen first. And so the Holy Blessed One, be God, said, there are no 7 days without Shabbat. There is no circumcision without Shabbat. There is no Brit. There is no covenant. There is no joining that covenant without having lived through Shabbat. And then the Midrash quotes our parasha again, saying from the 8th day on it shall be accepted, and Uvayom Hashmini, on the 8th day, Yimol Basar Orlato, that we will circumcise our baby boys. Shabbat itself is an experience, and it's one that we need in order to connect with God, in order to have the experience of joining the covenant. The ticket in is this idea of joy and peace, which Shabbat brings us. This is what we want to bring into the world. This is who we are at our core. And I want to say, just a few weeks ago, after I gave a longer drasha on Shabbat, you can tell that Shabbat's clearly pulsing through my life in such a serious way right now, that Sally Gottesman, one of the members here, came to me and said, I was just thinking the other day, we should be known for Shabbat. As a people, we should be known for Shabbat. And this very text says the same thing. It says, it's not asking for anything else. It's not saying anything other than experience a Shabbat before stepping into this community and taking on the entire covenant. That is the one thing that is asked of this idea of joining on the 8th day. It's a reminder, Shabbat itself is a reminder that we were slaves in Egypt, and that we need to care for the strangers just as we were once those strangers. Shabbat brings us back to that moment, and it brings us back to the moment of creation. And it says, you were created in the image of God, not just you, every single person on this earth. Shabbat reminds us who we are. And it's an experience that we need to have and that we need to push ourselves to step into in order to move forward, in order to know what it is to be in community. As it becomes harder and harder to be Jewish in today's day, here in America with anti-Semitism on the rise, and also everything that's happening in Israel with desperation for the release of the hostages, with threats from Iran, and as the people in Gaza continue to starve and grieve and suffer and fear for their own lives, may we each remember our true values how Shabbat and all it holds is that very entrance card. That's it. That's all we need to the holiness, not only one day a week, but every single day that we are blessed to live on this earth.